California.
He's the governor of California. And he was photographed in Napa Valley at a dinner with 10 or 12 people, mostly inside with like a sliding door. At one point, the report was that the door slid. None of them were wearing masks, and he was there for a 50th birthday party of a lobbyist colleague. I have a question about skin in the game because...
Sorry, explain why that pisses you off.
Well, Gavin Newsom is making rules for everyone else about who is essential and who is not essential. He's essential. Where you can hang out, where you cannot. Well, actually, that county wasn't in lockdown, so that was that was technically legal. And when you're allowed to go outside, when you're not in California. There's a curfew from 10 p.m.
At least in LA.
In LA, from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. And by the way, I can guess when Gavin Newsom sleeps. It's from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Yeah.
So he's got very little. He's got some, but for the rules that he has made, he has found a way to circumvent them affecting his own life. So he, for instance, is still receiving a salary and is not counting on a $1,200 check from the federal government. I wonder, and I actually don't have the answer, like if you're a politician and you're going to war, should you have to send a son? Like if you're a politician and you're shutting down the economy, should you have to do without your salary? I don't know if that makes for better decision-making or more emotional decision-making.
Yeah. Well, you've heard about putting the nuclear button inside of someone?
Yeah,
right?
Yes.
So for people who haven't heard this, there was I think it was a philosophy PhD, but somehow he was associated with the nuclear arms program. And they were talking about how do you prevent unnecessary nuclear war? Because there's a huge cost. You fire a nuke, Russia fires a nuke, end of the world. And one suggestion was put the button inside of someone's heart. Just find a volunteer who's willing to be a patriot. And same way soldiers will die for their country. This person is willing to die for their country, and give the president a big knife. And if he thinks that it is okay to kill 100 million people, then he should be okay killing 100,000,001, given that the person has volunteered and said, I'll die to protect my country. I'm a Marine.
Yeah.
Do it. Let's get
some blood on your hands. Yeah.
And the pushback wasn't that it wasn't philosophically sound. It was, this could prevent a president from ever launching a nuke. They were like, this is horrible. No one would ever do it. And it's like, pause. If you aren't willing to kill one guy with a knife and your bare hands, should you be willing to kill 100 million people with the press of a button? You're answering the exact point. And that ultimately got shut down because they were just saying, this is like us having no nukes. No one would be willing to do this.
Well, what I will say is that in that defense is you're not living in a world where everyone has their nuclear button inside of another person. So this is the question is, when I think skin in the game, it's an idea. Well, I'm sure.
Sorry, what I was saying is if you had to put your son, no
one would send their son to war.
No one would go to war if their son had to serve on the front lines.
And would that be a good thing? Like, let's say we chose not to go to World War II because FDR didn't want to send his son over to Germany. Would that have been a good thing? I don't know. I think with almost every other war in the 20th century, the answer is probably would have been, maybe there's a handful of them, but probably would have been good to not
end up staying out of Vietnam, maybe end up staying out of
Iraq. Or any skirmish above a certain size. So when it's like 23 people that are going in to do something, it doesn't have to be part, but above a certain size.
I also do think you'd have presidents that would send their sons.
Absolutely.
I think you would have presidents that would go, there's someone who would go, we got to stop the Nazis, and my son will be there with a gun.
Yep.
And I sanction this war.
Yeah.
And you will see my son on the front lines.
And don't run for the presidency unless you're willing to do that. But the bigger question, which is, I do think skin in the game is generally a really effective tool for limiting extreme decision-making, especially at decision-making that has negative outcomes for others and none for yourself. But it was just interesting, this Gavin Newsom thing, because he's been very vocal about you're killing people when you do X, Y, and Z.
The reason it's interesting with him is because he's been particularly pro-lockdown, pro-shutting down businesses, pro-putting the virus first. It's not like this is the governor of Florida.
No.
Governor of Florida is allowed to go eat to dinner. He's got nightclubs open. He's got 100 people partying at Live, getting bottle service, shoulder to shoulder, spitting on each other. You know what I mean? Like, so you can be against that policy, but you can't really be mad at him for going to dinner. The reason that it's particularly bad with Newsom is because Newsom would tell you people shouldn't do this. He would go on camera and tell you people shouldn't do this.
He has gone on camera now. And then technically he didn't break the law because he has the luxury to go to Napa Valley to hang out with a bunch of people. But it's just, I don't get the sense that he's particularly fearful of contracting coronavirus.
Yeah.
Like I didn't see him putting his mask on and in between
bites.
or like just you could imagine a virus that was so deadly that when he showed up there, he was like, oh my gosh, there are 10 people here. He's like, I'm not going in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like my social graces are going to overwhelm my self-preservation instinct. Are you insane? I'm going home because not because I care about my job, because I care about my life. So how serious does he think it is? This is partially my question when I see that sort of behavior. Serious enough that people should not go out at nighttime. Serious enough that you can't go to work, but he can. There's just so many cases of him not having his own skin in the game.
Sure. This is exactly the point we were saying, where everyone thinks that the people who have more money than them should pay more in taxes, which is like, if you think that they should pay more in taxes to help poor people, maybe you should donate to charity water. It's like, okay, Newsom, if you think that people shouldn't go to restaurants to eat,
don't go.
Just don't go to restaurants to eat. I would on a Zoom call, dude. You want to be talking to your lobbyists, thanking them for their donation. Go send them a Postmate, get on Zoom and eat across the computer. If that's what you would tell me to do for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think the big one that I'd like is just stop drawing a salary and only take federal disbursements of the stimulus check. Like only take PPP or federal disbursements of the stimulus check, but you are not allowed to draw a salary like so many people. Like pretend that you owned an escape room.
Yeah.
And that's what you get. And I think you would see different decision making.
Yeah, we were just talking about this. I think every escape room in LA will probably be bankrupt by the time this is all said and done.
Yeah, pretend that you own Guitar Center. Like pretend that any of these. And of course, I do think I want to give credit to the other side. It's important that you don't have these emotional decisions being made by someone who is just, oh, I'm afraid for myself, and then they're making decisions that are worse for the collective. But what he seems capable of doing is protecting himself from the downsides of the decisions that he's making that affect so many in the collective. And I find that disappointing and frustrating as someone who lives in an urban area and hasn't. I think I've left once to look at moving to Texas. That was literally as far as I went. But yeah, I might not get to see my family because state lines and all that kind of stuff. The other interesting thing, which I think is, and I totally get, is no wind instruments for Thanksgiving. It's very easy for a white dude to say. It's like you don't have a mariachi band that was going to come out. But part of the reason that they say no wind instruments, which I was like, what is that? Is because a lot of the Latin people that will celebrate will have some sort of mariachi band. Now, you can still say no wind instruments because you're blowing coronavirus everywhere at high speeds. But just another example of very easy to tell other people not to do at literally no cost for you because it didn't cross your mind to have a wind instrument or to go out after 10 p.m. or to not collect your paycheck. So anyway, that's just my thoughts there. I don't know what to do about coronavirus, but I do wish that the people making decisions were more affected by the rules that they set for everybody. Anything else?
On the flip side, Trump got COVID and had like 15 doctors and 7 ventilators. It's like, he's like, this is easy. I'm like, well, dude, of course this is easy. You got helicoptered to a hospital where 15 people waited on you hand and foot.
Thanks for bringing that up.
We don't have the scale to do this. If every person could be treated like you, we wouldn't have to have a lockdown. We just get them their 15 surgeons and their helicopter to the hospital and their ventilator, and it would be a non-issue. But you got special treatment. So.
I agree. I think, and I'm glad you flipped it because I didn't want to just make it about one side of the political aisle. What a move it would have been for my confidence in him and everybody's to go, I am going to take the average level of care that people get, which means I will not be riding in a helicopter. I will not be going to Walter Reed Medical Center. I will not be doing any of this.
To a public hospital.
And if I die, then Mike Pence will be president and maybe he'll make a different decision. Maybe he'll treat this a little bit differently. But yeah, just the ability to inoculate yourself from the downstream negative effects of your decisions that you're making for other people.
I was careless with my events or whatever.
I shook it right off.
COVID.
Yeah.
He's like, this is nothing, guys. This is nothing. It's like, no one can do this. Only billionaires and presidents can do this treatment that you signed up for. Like the rest of us have to do something else. And I'm not saying it's serious or it's not serious, but he has no idea if it's serious because he had 100 times more treatment than the average person.
I think I like that as a general rule. If anybody can think of why that shouldn't be the case. Now, obviously, you'd like your president to live for continuity, but just generally speaking, in terms of a decision-making process, to have skin in the game, to suffer the negative consequences of the decisions that you make for so many other people. You don't have to be president, by the way. This is only if you're a publicly elected official, right? If you want access to the best healthcare in the world, you're still entitled to cast your vote whichever way you want, as long as you're a private citizen.
CEO too. Maybe if you're CEO and you say factory workers have to go work in a factory, they can wear masks, but they have to be shoulder to shoulder. Put on the same mask that they're wearing.
Go hang out.
Go walk around the factory.
Yeah, go hang out
once a week. You think it's safe for them?
Just a little.
You.
Like you're not a factory worker. You're not actually doing the job, but
go walk
show
around
up
for an hour once a week. Like just be in their air, wearing the same mask as them. And if you don't feel comfortable, don't tell them they have to do it.
No. Hope that you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to see more like this and have us do more podcasts, we are 100% funded by our generous patrons. And if you'd like to contribute, there's a link in the description, and we'll have one pop up on the screen right here so that we can do more podcasts where we have fun conversations and hopefully some deep ones like this. Either way, hope that you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.